Is going to finish up our part by putting the knurling on the section right here. Most of this stuff we're about to do here is based on a video online tutorial from OnShape called Let's Make a Knurl. Anyway, that video can be found at OnShape's website. Just do a search for Let's Make a Knurl right here. That's the name of the video. It's very easy to find. I highly recommend you watch it 2 or 3 times. It's only 2.5 minutes long, so it doesn't take long to watch a couple of times before you attempt this. But anyway, let's get on with what we're going to do. We're going to place a helix on this area here. Now, I'm not going to chamfer my part like he did in the video, simply because our original assignment did not show it having a chamfer on it. So anyway, I'm going to place a helix on this surface with a half a revolution, so 1/2 revolution. And now I'm going to create a plane that's normal to the end point right here. So I'm going to hit plane, curve point plane, and select the helix and the end point of the helix. That'll turn me green here. So that gives me this plane called plane 2. And that's what I need to draw my diamond shape on for my helix threading. So what I need to do is get normal to this plane. So I'm going to get back to my front view, and I can see here's this new plane. So when I want to right click it and hit view normal to, and let it rotate me in where I'm square on to that end of that helix now. Let me get where I can find the helix again. There it is. Okay. So this plane here is the one I need to be normal to. So I'm going to right click and hit view normal to. Actually, let me do a sketch. Start my sketch now. I'm going to do a sketch, and my sketch plane will be this plane. And now I'm going to hit view normal to. And there we go. It's kind of got me turned sideways a little bit here. Let me see if I can rotate it a couple of times using this rotate arrow. Okay, so now I'm going to zoom in. Yours will probably be a little different. It's not, the point will be different, but anyway, the point on the helix will probably be different. But anyway, let's go ahead and draw our diamond. Rough shape of a diamond here. Remember, it doesn't matter about the dimensions. We'll throw some in a minute. I am going to draw the cross line. I've just noticed that that helps us keep everything squared away if I draw this line in. Let's see, hit my line. And I'm actually going to make it a construction line. Now, I didn't do this the other day in class when we were looking at it, but it seems like a good idea today, so I'm going to do that. Now I'm going to apply a horizontal constraint to it, and that'll keep it hopefully lined up sideways. And now I'm going to apply a equal constraint to these 4. 3, 4, make those equal to one another. And it's kind of weird the way this you kind of have to turn it a little bit to actually see what's going on here. But anyway, we don't, let's really need that line in the middle, but it helps keep everything straight and horizontal and everything. So anyway, what I need to do now is throw a dimension on this, and I believe in class the other day we had pretty good luck using 0.05, somewhere around that ballpark. Pretty small cut anyway. Now what I've got to do is get the corner of this diamond moved to the end point here using a Pierce constraint, which is this one right here. Now normally with coincident we go point coincident, but with the Pierce it seems to work better to go Pierce point. So I'm going to do it this way this time. So here's my Pierce constraint. So I'm going to go Pierce point point, and it does move over to the edge. And that's a good thing. So now that I've done this, I'm done with my sketch. I'm ready to sweep, doing a new part sweep. So let's go to the sweep command, choose new part, choose the face of this triangle, I'm sorry, diamond, and the sweep path will of course be my helix section. And when I tell it to make it a new part, it'll change the colors, and that way I can more easily identify it as a new part. Now, to understand what's going on here, you kind of have to turn it a little bit and look at it. What we're doing, we've made a diamond that's going to actually cut into the surface a little bit. So we've made a diamond shape. A triangle, I suppose, would have worked, but it doesn't give us as easy of a viewing section, so it's easier to see it. Easier for us to touch it with a mouse and such as that. So plus it gives us the right pattern when we do the Boolean subtraction. So anyway, now that we've got that done, let's get back out where we can see what we're doing. And I'm going to rotate it around this way just a little bit. For some reason I see it better from this direction. I don't guess it really matters, but anyway. So now I need to do a circular pattern. So I come up here and hit circular pattern, and it's going to be new parts. So I'm going to select my first part, and then my axis pattern. I just need to select the origin, the plane that the origin's in, or actually one of the default planes. So let me see if I can get back where I can see one of my default planes. Now when this gets all jumbled up looking, a good thing to do is to come over here and make these excess planes kind of go away by hiding them, cutting the eyeball off. So there went my threading plane. Now I'm going to cut off plane 2, so I'm back to my default plane. So this time I'm actually going to choose my top plane as my axis pattern, or try to anyway. And when you can't do it by reaching over here, you can always reach over here and do it. Now I don't want face revolve one. I need a plane. So let me see if I can get normal to it where I can see something. Okay, well, it worked. I guess we'll take that. Okay, now here's where you gotta be careful. Everybody wants to choose a big number, and that's causing lots of issues with OnShape wanting to lock up. It's probably the computers here in our lab. But anyway, choose about, I'd say, 14 to 16, something like that, 15, somewhere in that ballpark. So I'm going to use 16 for this one, and hit enter, and let's see what happens. Okay, that gives me a good start of a pattern anyway. I mean, you can experiment. If I try 20, it just seems to really bog down a lot. Of course, the more the better the pattern looks, and probably realistically more like 36 or so would probably be about right. But it doesn't look very good when it takes so long to do it that it's becoming kind of cumbersome. I'm going to attempt it with 36, but for class, don't use but just a few. But you do see that if I attempted it with this many, it would make a really nice looking knurl pattern. So actually, I think I'm going to put this back down to about 16, just because I know we had so much trouble with it in class the other day. Okay, now that I've got that pattern done, I need to do a mirror image of all of these parts, these new parts. So I'm going to reach up here and find my mirror command. And for my mirror plane, I'm going to select the front plane, I guess, and then start with part 2 over here. Back up here in my entities to mirror, I'm going to click into it and then come down here and hit part 2. Scroll way down here to part 18. Remember I had 16 of them, so 16 2 is 18. And now it's going to sit here and think for a while. Now this could take probably upwards of a minute or so. Okay, this did take several minutes. I paused the recording so it wouldn't be recording 2 minutes of sitting here watching the screen do nothing. But ultimately it did accept it and it did turn green. At this point now we'll hit the checkbox to keep the pattern. Like I said, more would be better, but it does take a long time, especially on my particular computer here. Okay, so we're almost done. What we need to do now is do a Boolean subtraction, and we'll hit the Boolean subtract command and do a subtract. And for my tools, I come down here and select all these parts we've made. Start with part 2 all the way down to part 33. Once again, hold your shift button down to do that. My target is my original part 1, my body of my lathe part. And once again, this will take a while. See, it's starting to think again. So once again, I'm going to pause the video and give it a few minutes. Okay, once again, it took a couple of minutes for this thing to update with this knurling. But finally my Boolean pattern did turn green, so I'm going to check it. And once again, it'll take a few seconds to update, so I'm going to pause once again. Okay, didn't take quite as many seconds that time, probably about 15 seconds. But anyway, now we have our part knurled with a pattern of diamonds. It's not really a very good knurling, but it gets the point across of how to do it, and that's all we're really trying to learn to do here, is just see how to do it. And it does produce a really nice cut in pattern here. And all it would be left now to finish our part is to produce the machinist drawing from it. So now we'll hit drawing, create drawing, or hit my plus sign, hit create drawing. Choose it since we're recreating the one I give you in class. Once again, insert the part. Remember, it comes in at an unusual scale, like 1 to 3. So as soon as you get it in, go back and right click the properties box here, or the box to open up the properties box. Change it to 1 to 1. And close this box, and now we can apply any of the dimensions that we need. If we need to do any thread detail or anything, then it's easy enough to do. But it turns out it looks really good. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, even though it was quite a bit of work for us to get to this point. So anyway, let's start putting some of our dimensions on exactly the way as he gave it to us the other day on our original sheet. Doesn't have to be perfectly the same, but get it as close as you can to the original layout. This one I'm going to pull the dimension out a little bit where I can see it if I can get a hold of it here. There we go. I think that just looks a little better. It's a little easier to read. And then we can worry about the angle either this way or down the other way. Alright, if you need to put notes on it about the chamfering or the knurling, I mean, if you need to put notes, you've got comments and note blocks up here. You've got note with call outs where you can point to it. So experiment with it and do the best you can. Then put your title block, put your name and all that stuff down here in it. So anyway, you'll have a really nice machinist drawing that could be sent out to a machine shop for production at that point. This will end this video.